Like many cities, Los Angeles has a long history of tension between minorities and police. LAPD officer Deon Joseph says the road to reconciliation starts with prayer.
The way that I police with these people, the way I treat them, it pleases my Father in heaven because I'm fair to them. I don't care if you're black, white, I don't care if you're Muslim, Jew, gay, straight, I don't care who you are. If you need justice, I'm going to be fair to you and I'm going to work hard for you.
Under his leadership, crime on LA's notorious Skid Row has dropped 18%. Officer Joseph believes he's effective in the community because he shares his faith, brings justice, and builds genuine relationships with those in need.
Hey, I'm working on a program.
What inspired you to become a police officer?
I didn't want to be a police officer. Being a young African-American male, like many young African-American males, I was indoctrinated to hate and fear law enforcement. And I had couple of bad experiences too, so a lot of it was valid. But I ended up losing my job and I was out of work and someone said, just put your name in the hat. Not all the jobs I put in for, the only one that called me was the police department. Like, oh man, really? But I believe that was God kind of ordering my steps and I didn't know it at the time. And then once I got on, I ended up working with police officers from all walks of life, white, black, Hispanic, and they all were just wonderful human beings, just doing a very tough job, and I fell in love with just helping people in a way that I couldn't do as a civilian, and I never left. Yeah.
So I know you prayed not to have to patrol Skid Row.
Oh, yes, I did.
But that's where you ended up.
That's where I ended up. Yep.
What was it like for you, like your first day on the job in
I remember
Skid
it
Row?
like it was yesterday. It was horrible, and I saw people who looked just like me on the sidewalk, naked, urinating, defecating, smoking crack, having sex on the sidewalk, tents on fire. It was just a nightmare, and I prayed to God, I can't do this. I want to leave. And then I go inside, and it was no better because the same people that were outside were inside the station in handcuffs from smoking, selling drugs, prostitution, and they were yelling and cursing. And some of them were mentally ill, and I'm like, why are these people here instead of in a hospital? And I wanted to go, but after about a couple of months in the field, my DNA kicked in. And by that, I mean my upbringing. My parents are strong Christians, and they believe in Christians showing love. And they showed love to 41 foster children in their 47-year marriage, in addition to me, my brothers, my sister, and my nephews and nieces. And they did it in an unconditional, non-patronizing way. And a lot of these kids didn't want to leave our home when they left. And watching their dedication, I always said I didn't want it, because it was too much of a burden. But I ended up being just like them in Skid Row, and I never left. Those people needed love from a place they didn't expect.
Well, as you know, in this country, we have a divide.
Huge
with
divide.
Police officers and community, in particular, the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said earlier, you were taught to believe that the police was your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about bringing the divide closer? How do you go about making peace between the community and the police department?
Well, I always try to say, my pastor spoke of a beautiful message called tearing down walls and building bridges. And, I've lived by that my entire life, understanding what the Black community is feeling, but also knowing the other side. I try to infuse the two to go out and I go above and beyond to let them know that I'm here to serve them. It is a challenge, in my area of Skid Row, they know me already, so they love me. There's no issues there. But you have a lot of outside influences trying to come in and tell them that I hate them. And that's the other challenge. It's not to say that there aren't bad officers out there who've done bad things. There's bad apples and everything. But what's happening now is everybody's pulling out a broad brush and painting all of us in the same manner, And what's the lie being told right now? That all cops hate Black people. You repeat that enough, and there's going to be people out there who aren't going to take the time to research it. They're not going to come talk to me. They're going to wait and see what pops up on social media, and they're going to make their judgment off of that. And that's where I feel, as cops and the Black community, we have to stop, use our critical thinking skills, come together and talk. Come talk to me. Don't yell at me. If you come and say, look, what do you think, officer, about this? What do you think about me? Allow me to tell you how I feel about you, because guess what I'm going to tell you? I love you with all my heart, and I will put my life on a line for you, but I'm not going to give it away. That's what people need to know.
Wow. Now, in your book, you chronicle people you've met and people you've helped. Tell me about some of the people that you've been able to help.
Well, there's a lot of people. A gang member, this gang member was sitting on the sidewalk smoking crack one day. And I walk up to him and, he tells me he's going to, that I was a dead Negro. And he's walking around. I'm driving through the streets after he said that. And I got so many people calling me a dead Negro. I thought I was going to die. But I didn't take myself out of the field because I know the people of Skid Row needed me. Well, I saw him a few months later, same spot, smoking crack. And I said, you know what? I got him now. I'm going to arrest him. I get out of the car and I'm about to pull my handcuffs out and something came over me that said, pray for him. And I know I'm not supposed to do that in uniform, but I got talked to about that, so I can't do it anymore. But I prayed for that man, and there were tears in his eyes because he couldn't believe that a police officer did that. His friends were crying. The prostitutes across the street were crying. And I think a patrol car that came out, I think he was crying too, but he won't admit it, right? But I didn't see him for a year after that. And when he came to the station, I didn't recognize him. He was yoked out. He had a nice jumpsuit on, sunglasses on, and gold chains. I said, who are you? He said, Joseph, give me your hand, just like I told him. And he showed me he was clean and sober for a year. Wow. And he had reunited with his family. And, you don't understand how you can touch people when you just figuratively put down your uniform and just be human to people. That's how it works for me, and I wouldn't change a thing.